honey bunnies, I'm Lami Léporine, and if you're watching this video, you are probably a cosmic entity that has taken the form of a human being, specifically one of the neurodivergent variety. And this video is going to be your guide in understanding humanity, because for a while I had a problem understanding humanity, and I don't want you to have that problem, so that's what this video is for. Understanding human behavior is essential if you want to blend in seamlessly, but it's also the trickiest part because of the number of unspoken rules, like all the complex emotions and relationships and whatnot. For the longest time, I've always felt like I was separate from everybody else around me, and I honestly think that's how it's always going to be. I can honestly attribute this to being because I think I realized that I had free will a lot sooner than most people do. And I think most people probably come to that realization around or they abuse free will and just or not really abuse it, okay. They have more fun with their free will by the time they enter a midlife crisis, you know? And they turn 40 and they quit their 9 to 5 and get a divorce or whatever. And for the longest time, I felt uncomfortable in my own skin. When you're weird and behave in a way that diverges from social norms, and don't really conform to these made-up imaginary rules that everyone seems to be following, and when you're actually a free thinker, you don't really fit in with other kids very well, and they don't want to play with you. But of course, now that we're older, weird is cool and everybody has an individuality complex. During my experience as a black, queer, neurodivergent woman, I have felt more like a fictional creature than I have a human girl. I've always felt like a stranger in the world, and for a while that's how I was treated. Now, life itself is brutal for everybody in one way or another, and we're here to suffer, learn, and evolve. In order to navigate through this experience, we need to talk about the core part of what makes us human, which is our emotions. Human emotions are a major source of confusion and chaos in interpersonal relationships, and a lot of the conflicts that they cause can be resolved by communication and a conversation. Emotions, to me, are also one of the most beautiful parts of being a conscious, living, breathing human being. The inconsistency and irrationality of emotions make them hard to grasp, but at the same time, your soul craves authenticity. The difficulty lies in how layered human behavior is, and one of those layers being the timing and intensity of emotional expression. And just for example, when I was writing the script for this video, SZA posted a video of her screaming at a waterfall at some retreat of some kind, and the caption was, "Hope you scream today, I love you." And I just really admired this raw display of emotion because screaming is important. Every emotion has value and meaning, and no one emotion is better than any other. And it's important to express and acknowledge your emotions, even the ones that are deemed socially unacceptable, like anger or sadness. Now, while most of the teen angst has faded from my body, and I do think life is wonderful and magical and worth living and whatnot, there was a time where I felt like I was living a waking nightmare. And I also think that the music I used to listen to at the time is partly to blame because music influences your subconscious without you even knowing. And I was very, very emo, and I would listen to very hardcore, angry music all the time. But that's a separate video altogether, and I'm sure by the time I post this, I'll probably would have posted the other video too. Emotional outbursts don't happen because you're incapable of controlling your emotions, but because you don't know how to navigate each one you experience on a daily basis. Suppressing your emotions can lead to even bigger emotional outbursts later. If you ignore or neglect your feelings, you may eventually feel empty. As humans, we go through 400 or more different emotional experiences on a daily basis, and it's crucial to be able to navigate these emotions as they come. Autistic individuals with ADHD or anxiety may struggle with emotional regulation at times, and I know when I was younger, personally, I used to have a really short temper, and when you're black and a female, it's easy for any emotional expression to be twisted into a stereotype. But decoding your emotions is all about taking a second to pause and think about what you're feeling and just letting yourself feel what's going on without trying to fix it or shove it away immediately. It's about giving yourself a moment to think, it's okay to feel angry right now, it's okay to feel sad right now, it's okay to feel anxious right now, and just sitting with that for a bit. A big part of this is recognizing how emotions show up in your body personally, and that could include clenched fists, grinding your teeth, tightness in your chest, or even a heavy feeling in your stomach. Noticing these physical symptoms can... Oh, I sound like a doctor. Noticing these physical signs can help you figure out what's really going on emotionally. The next step is separating what you feel from how you react. This is where emotional regulation comes in. Learning how to process the emotion without letting it control your actions. And it's not bottling it up, but finding a healthy way to express what you're feeling. Like talking to someone or getting creative and making art, or just sitting and reflecting on how you're feeling. For people with autism, ADHD, or just people who feel things very deeply, this can be a bit more intense. Emotions might hit faster and harder than you would expect, so it's essential to use grounding techniques, mindfulness, or just routines that'll help you slow things down and just like calm down a bit. And at the end of the day, decoding your emotions is really all about self-awareness. When you can understand what your emotions are saying, you can respond in a way that keeps you balanced and helps you manage through tough situations and just helps you feel more connected to yourself and others.
None of this is real.
That includes the perfected version of yourself that you've been searching in jobs, relationships, activities, or friendships. And what you've really been searching for out there isn't there at all. What you're really looking for is you. And sure, you might catch glimpses of yourself out there, but what you're really seeing is just a reflection of yourself back onto you. Everything you truly will ever need already exists within yourself, and you are already whole and complete from the moment that you were born. You don't need to change yourself or to achieve anything external to become enough. It's about peeling back the layers of conditioning and societal programming to reveal the authentic you that you've been searching for out there in other people. The you without all the emotional noise, without the need to fit in, and without the pressure to conform. The unfiltered you is perfect, and just because it wasn't embraced or accepted when you were younger doesn't mean you have to suppress it now. Society, on the other hand, often tries to keep you down and feeds you this version of success built on ego and external validation. You're taught to prioritize your image over your authenticity and to silence your inner child, the true creative essence of who you are. But this just keeps you stuck as another cog in the machine, and the magic that you're looking for lies in realizing that you don't have to play by these rules. When you let go of societal expectations and reconnect to your true self, you reclaim your freedom, your creativity, and your joy. Anybody who is and has ever been somebody realizes that unlocking your magic and stepping into your power is really about getting to a point where you're unfazed by the opinions of others. The curse of social norms is that they create an illusion convincing you that your worth is tied to external achievements or how well you are able to blend in. But the real trick is breaking free from that illusion. Society's expectations are like a maze with no exit, but the way out has always been within you. And once you stop caring about what's normal and what others expect, you unlock a deeper, more authentic version of yourself. The one that's been waiting beneath all the layers. And that's where the real magic is. Living a life that is unapologetic, raw, and unfiltered, and no longer bound by the curse of social norms. Everything in life is temporary. People come and go, seasons change, and wherever you are, just know that that's not your final destination. Things are always going to keep changing, and that's just part of life. Nothing in life is promised except for death, and the way that you live your days is the way that you will live your life. And being human depends on the way that you live your days. And letting go doesn't necessarily mean tossing everything to the wind and just letting fate decide. It's more about realizing that nothing is permanent. Friendships, jobs, and just like entire phases of your life, they all don't last forever. And that's okay. Clinging to them too tightly sets you up for frustration when life does what it does best, which is change. Detaching lets you enjoy the present for what it is instead of obsessing over what comes next. That's why daily routines are so magical. They're like these little ritual routines that we have for ourselves that like anchor us in the present moment. Whether it's a cup of coffee or like walking your dog or making yourself lunch or just writing down your thoughts before you go to bed. These little routines are like our steady foundation in life. And I like to think of them as like a personal hack on how I stay sane. While everything else is gonna shift, those small familiar routines are there to give you a sense of control. Friendship is a term we often toss around casually, but in reality it holds the key to something much deeper, the essence of what it means to be human. One of my favorite pieces of media ever of all time from childhood, My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, might seem lighthearted and cute on the surface, but touches on something essential that we need as humans, which is the fact that we need each other to thrive. Twilight Sparkle and her friends aren't just colorful characters, they embody the values that we should strive for in our relationships. To really change your life, you have to let people in. Think about how many people you cross paths with every day, how many strangers you've met that could have been friends. You might feel lonely right now, but you haven't met everybody that you're gonna love in your life yet. That's just something that I hold on to when I feel like I'm disconnected from others, and how there's so many people out there that I'm just fated to meet one day. It's just so beautiful. And when you feel like no one sees you, just try to make others feel seen. That's where true connection starts. In an era where individuality and independence and self-sufficiency are celebrated, we might lose sight on the fact that none of us can do this alone. None of us can survive alone. There's often a misconception that if someone enters your life, they're meant to be there forever. But as we grow and change and evolve as souls, the relationship is going to change as well. Sometimes people who were once a perfect fit for your life no longer fit that mold, and that's completely fine. There's a saying that goes, you are who you surround yourself with. I think that's completely true, but you're also the media that you consume as well. Like, you are what you eat, and you are what you feed your mind and your consciousness and your soul and whatnot. And I think it's worth asking yourself from time to time, are the people in my life helping me grow? Are they helping me become my highest self and see the parts of myself that I may not see and may go unnoticed, and are they helping me change that? Or are they enabling me to do things that aren't good for me? Or do they value me as much as I value them? Healthy relationships should be balanced with both people giving 100%. And if that's not the case, then you might want to rethink the relationship. Not every relationship is meant to last forever. Letting go of people who no longer fit your journey just makes room for the people who will. Real friendship isn't just about the happy moments. It's about growing together through conflict or hardship and learning and supporting each other. The magic of friendship is found in the way we grow through shared experiences. And when we stumble, our friends should be there to help us back up. So as we meet new people and move through different phases of life, just stay open to the connections that feel right for you. Trust that the people that are meant to stay will add value to your life and not take away, and those that are temporary will teach you something. But either way, it's all a part of your growth. Because of my autism, a lot of people struggle to understand that I say exactly what I mean, and I mean what I say without any hidden agenda or ulterior motive or deeper meaning or whatever. My communication is usually very straightforward, and there's no need to read between the lines. But because I am autistic, that means I will be perpetually misunderstood my entire life, and that's just something I just have to get used to, I guess. Still, it is very frustrating when I try to communicate and articulate myself clearly and people still feel the need to misunderstand or misinterpret what I'm saying and just assign meaning to words where there shouldn't be any meaning assigned to them. Honestly, with the English language, it feels like we all have different meanings to different words. Many people with autism struggle with conversations because they didn't talk much as kids. And when you're quiet, that means you spend a lot of your time thinking and you have tons of thoughts and ideas in your head, but turning those into words may be tough for some people. But the good news is that your communication can improve over time. Learning effective communication early on in life is essential for neurodivergent people like me because it equips us with the tools to be prepared to navigate a world and communicate in a world that doesn't usually speak our language. And while I may be direct and straightforward, the majority of people rely on unspoken rules and implied meanings and social cues that aren't always obvious to me. Figuring out how to communicate clearly and just understand others is a second language. If you don't get the hang of it early on, it can lead to misunderstandings and miscommunication later on in life. Yeah! Humans have a unique relationship with food, and it's an essential part of their culture, emotions, and social interactions. Humans need to consume certain nutrients regularly to keep their bodies functioning. This means a balanced diet filled with carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. Carbohydrates give them energy, proteins repair and rebuild tissues, and fats provide fatty acids to keep skin healthy. Food isn't just about what's on the plate. It's tied to emotions and experiences. For example, many humans have comfort foods. There's even a phenomenon known as emotional eating, where people munch on snacks when they feel stressed, sad, or bored. Socially, meals can be a great bonding experience. Humans often gather around the table to share food, stories, laughter, and overall build experiences to look back on. Many may have specific preferences or aversions, which may lead to what is known as the picky eater. I personally was a picky eater when I was younger. I used to drink Pediasures. I was super duper underweight when I was a kid, and I low-key still kind of am, but like, I don't know. I still have a problem eating certain foods, especially those from like my culture, because I'm Nigerian, and like the textures of Nigerian food sometimes it's hard for me to like keep down or even like eat in the first place. Like the only fufu I eat is okra soup, and then like I don't know, I don't like a lot of Nigerian cuisine, but that's just me. Also, I've never really been a big fan of like eggs either. Like eggs are just so nasty to me. I truly believe that everyone who is on the spectrum or neurodivergent in any way is like a highly creative person. And when you're not creating, it becomes so detrimental to your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. For many of us, being creative isn't just like a hobby, it's an essential part of being who we are. I think we're all spiritual beings or whatever, but specifically people with like autism and ADHD, like I don't know, it feels like we're trying to make sense of like time. Time doesn't exist in the spiritual realm like it does here, right? And we live in a world with clocks and deadlines and rules that often like directly contrast the way that we experience life on a daily basis. And I think this is the reason why a lot of people with ADHD struggle with something called time blindness, where everything feels more fluid than it does like separated into different like parts. Like the day just feels like one big stream, whereas to most people they break up their day in like different parts, you know? It might actually mean that we're more connected to the idea that like time is an illusion and a man-made creation, and more connected to like the actual truth, which is all that matters and all that exists is like the present moment. We don't always fit into society's boxes, and that's because we're out here discovering more things about ourselves and about the world around us. And that's why I think that neurodivergent people have a higher level of spiritual awareness, and our neurodivergence just gives us a different way of seeing the world. It's not always about being understood by others, and that's okay. And in fact, I honestly think that's what makes us an essential part of like the spiritual growth of humanity itself. Okay, last part. Be the fullest expression of yourself. Take up space. This is your life, and one day it is going to come to an end. So you want to be able to say that you lived your life to the fullest expression of yourself that you could. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing that one of my main goals is to let all parts of myself exist within me and make space for all parts of myself to exist within me and love them all unapologetically and unconditionally, no matter what. That's why you gotta let go of who you think you are and like drop the mental image that you built for yourself in your head. Because a lot of the issues in your life are tied to how you believe that you're perceived and your idea of yourself. But overall, it's important to understand that you're doing the best you can, and your best can change from day to day. Some days you may be full of energy, and some days you may not even want to get out of bed at all. What matters is that you give the best with what you have in the present moment. Being kind and compassionate with yourself is essential because it helps you accept where you are and helps you move forward without pressure. Okay guys, that is the end of the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're not already. Leave a comment, share, and whatnot. I don't know when this video is going to be out. Hopefully by the end of March 2025 I'm going to post this. But I really appreciate the support. Thank you so much. I love you all.
Thank you for your patronage.